This is an online TV station, but you can follow the conversations on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, as well as on all, of course, their spaces, Civic Space TV, anywhere on social media. Be sure to catch it and share it with whoever. My name is Lynn Komuhanda. If you're joining us for the first time, I see familiar faces: Francis, Kamuhanda, Albert, Bakasara, Marsh, and Miriam. I'm glad to have you. Today, we are very honored to be joined by a team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and particularly the Diaspora Services Department that was created, I think, in 2007, to take a look and to make sure that diaspora, Uganda diaspora in particular, receive the services and offer the services that are really required. Now, the team is led by Marshall Kategaya. Marshall Kategaya will tell us what he is at that department and what that department, particularly FATE, looks at. So we have over the times you people have, come up with, told us the challenges you face as the Uganda diaspora. And so when we hosted Marshall and his other team, they did say they're going to share with us what their services department is all about. And maybe, hopefully, by end of this conversation, we'll have a solution or solutions to the challenges that we encounter as Uganda diaspora. So I welcome you to the show. Marshall, I don't know if you're ready to take over and give us what you have planned so that we head in right away. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to listen to Marshall for a bit for what they're offering, and then we can get into the challenges that we encounter.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. My name is Marsh Kategaya. I'm in the Diaspora Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So as Lynn had told you earlier, we're going to tell you what the department is there for, what we do, and how we can help you. So the Diaspora Department was set up in 2007, as Lynn had said, under the President's directive. It was to handle diaspora issues and facilitate the contribution of the diaspora for their social, economic, technological, and political development in Uganda. In the same year that the Diaspora Services Department was established, and today, it serves as a coordination point of various diaspora issues and offers a wide range of services to a large population of Ugandans in the diaspora and also their relatives at home back in Uganda. So what is our mandate? The mandate of the Diaspora Services Department within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs includes driving the development, management, and implementation of the National Diaspora Policy, promoting, nurturing, and sustaining a mutually beneficial relationship between the government of Uganda and overseas Ugandans. The Diaspora Services Department aims at positioning itself as a one-stop center for the Uganda diaspora community. And then also we are working on the establishment and maintenance of the database, which we talked about, the digital database. So on identifying the location and skills of the people in the Ugandan diaspora. I'll give you an update on that database after I finish with the points that I have to tell about the mandate. So we're also structuring of information and channels of communication within the diaspora. And then there's the identification and dissemination of information on relevant opportunities for the diaspora community. We're also dealing with mobilization of resources for the diaspora programs, many programs which I'm going to tell you more about after I finish this mandate. Now, we're also providing assistance on the overall integration of diaspora in the development process of Uganda through structuring programs to enable the diaspora to invest in Uganda, mainly through the app. Then there's participation in national and international diaspora initiatives. Then there's also coordination of the diaspora interests to ensure that they receive the desired attention. So since we last talked, I did some research. I wanted to come to you when I had all the research, all the facts. So we have started on the national policy. The national policy, we have finished it. We have finished the last draft. We're now getting it. Notarized before we give it to the PS, who will give it to the minister, and then the minister will take it to Parliament for review and approval. Now, you know, it's going to be quite a process, but we are hoping it will happen by the end of this year. So the focus of the policy is to strengthen the national capacity for coordination and building mutual beneficiary partnerships with the diaspora. Now after the policy is done, there's the infrastructure development. We were funded by World Bank to carry out feasibility studies aimed at engaging diaspora talents in the infrastructure sector, specifically in energy, roads, agriculture, industry, and railway subsectors. So in the energy sector, we are going to develop staff capacity to manage oil refinery and gas processing. We would need a lot of people in the diaspora for their expertise, and also we would give people in the diaspora opportunities to come back home and work in the energy sector. Then there's also the road sector, strengthening staff capacity to handle better highway planning and road safety. Then there's also the railway sector, strengthening railway cooperation, and then agriculture. Industrial agriculture is very big on our policies. We're trying to find ways for the diaspora to reinvest their hard-earned money to start industrial agriculture within the country. So what does this mean? All of this means that we are starting actually from next week, we're meeting all other MDAs affiliated with what I've talked about. So Ministry of Roads and Works, Ministry of Energy, then also we're meeting agriculture, lands and fisheries. All this is collecting data so that we can give you a very clear cut and different types of investment opportunities in Uganda, because a certain Ugandan may have $5,000 to invest, another Ugandan may have $1 million. Now, Uganda may have $10 million US dollars. So we want to give you different, how do I say it, packages of investment in different sectors, all which will be on the app. Now, concerning the app, which I'm mainly part of and which I'm pushing hard, we wanted to, we met with UNDP, and they have accepted the funding. We're working on the policy plan and also we're giving them a clear and digital format of how it will work. So we've also met with people from ICT, because our former PS was actually the head of ICT, PS of ICT. So we've met with some people from ICT, and we're coming up with a policy. All this will occur after we are doing research. Right now we are doing the groundwork and the research, because we want to find out the best ways for you people for Ugandans in the diaspora to invest safely and clearly back into Uganda. So now that app, the way things are going from what I can see from the policy plan here, it will probably be done by September. So I thank you for your attention. I like to keep things short and sweet. Thank you for your time and for listening to my presentation.
That was all. That was very brief. Thank you very much, Marsh. And I like that you've pointed to some of the issues we have, talked about previously here. That we mentioned, and I remember the gentlemen and ladies in attendance were also part of this conversation. We said we needed a one-stop center, this ABCD that we need, and I'm glad that you're giving feedback on that. But I'm curious about this national policy. What does it address? What is it seeking to do, for who and how?
The national policy will address format of communication between Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the people in the diaspora at the embassies. It's also going to address the investment policies. It's going to investment opportunities. It's also going to talk about how we have informative channels of communication, and that the policy allows us to move forward. I like to keep things very simple. The policy will allow us to move forward in ways for the diaspora to reinvest back in the country. Because right now, a lot of people have come to our ministry and they've said, oh, we have this amount of money we want to invest, but we can't give them a clear investment plan because we are not legally allowed. So it's the legalization of the department giving us the power to do what we are saying we're going to do for you.
The policy is going to enable the department do what it is supposed to do since 2007. Okay. Wow, interesting. So I didn't hear you mention that the plans that you have include job opportunities for people, for professionals in the diaspora, and how they can access information on these opportunities. Are there any collaborative relationships between the Uganda government, private sector, multilateral agencies, blah, 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 that can be harnessed? Do you have all those guidelines, or are they all under the policy? Once the policy is up, is that when you're going to the best way the Ugandans in diaspora can be?
Because as I said, the sectors that they want to invest in are energy, roads, railway, agriculture, and lands. So once we have the policy, we'll be able to talk to the ministries. We'll be able to talk to private sectors of development. So people can gain work or they can reinvest. So if someone wants to work, like last how we have the oil starting to come out in 2025. So if someone wants to get a job perhaps in that part of the energy sector, we would be able to go and meet with Ministry of Energies and tell them we need to get at least a slot of 20 jobs for people in the diaspora. But that's why we're rushing to push it for this year, because you can't go to those ministries without the policy. So yes, there are going to be investment. There are going to be jobs opportunities for people.
All right, there are quite a number of challenges, but okay, thank you very much, Marsh. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard from Marsh. The floor is open.
So I'm happy to be here as usual, and thank you for giving us this opportunity to interact with the stakeholders in Uganda. This message is important, but I'll start with a question for Marsh. So this policy, who is being included in the discussions on this policy? And I think Lynn has already asked on what its aim, and you've labored to explain. And we thank you for that. The app is a good start, but again, it will depend. It all depends on who is involved in developing this app, because as you know, you are a technologically savvy young man. In technology, we say garbage in, garbage out. So what is the app? Who is involved in putting it together, and what is it really going to do for us? Because I don't think the problem, at least from my perspective, I don't believe that the problem has been a tool or a method of communication. I think it has been the content of what is being communicated. It's been the actions that are lacking, the involvement that is lacking, not the methods of us reaching you. Yes, the app will make it easy, and we appreciate that. It will be a one-stop shop for some of these services if you include them. But again, the question is, have you involved some of the leaders in the diaspora? And they don't even mean myself or others who usually interact with here. There are other leaders, there are other well-qualified people out there. Because I do appreciate the idea that you guys want to offer people in the diaspora job opportunities. There's a good talent pool in many countries, in many sectors, and Uganda could use those. But engage them first and see what is available here first before even finalizing that policy. So I'll stop there for now as we wake up and get our coffee going. Thank you, Lynn.
All right, thank you, Albert. Miriam, you good to go?
Michelle, thanks for your presentation, but as usual, you are lacking in detail. So we don't even know what you are talking about. It's like you are bringing a package and say, hey, I have a gift for you, but it's sealed and we can't see inside. So what are the contents of your policy plan? And like Albert asked, who is involved and what are the details and how are they going to be effectively implemented? Those are the issues. And I think as we've been discussing, the issue is that we are not short of plans. We have plans, we have ideas, but the issue is the implementation. And the bottlenecks, lack of embassy capacity, lack of coordination, all those things, I don't know whether they will be addressed and how they are being addressed, and the lack of consultation. Like you want to put policies forward for us to invest as if you already know what we need, because you are not asking us what we want to see, how we can easily work together. So it's kind of disappointing, I'm sorry to say, like if you, for the next coming years, if we are going to roll on like that, it's like we are going nowhere. And then we are expecting so much from you, the ministry, the government, and the diaspora department should be more empowered. We are a big constituency, both economically and numerically and geographically and politically. I think we deserve much more than a few peanuts thrown around and a couple of stuff thrown in embassies without capacities. I mean, embassies which can't even register people. So how are you going to mobilize the resource from diaspora? How will you know the capacities that people have in diaspora if you can't even reach them, if you don't even interact with them? And how are we going to even know the investment ideas if we don't have the embassy capacity to spread the messages across different people? Because people are so far and wide, and given the last presentation we had here regarding the passports and the registration, it's like the embassies which even have capacities to even coordinate people are not more than 10 in the whole world, in the whole Ugandan missions across the globe. So if we are so inefficient even at that level, we are so pessimistic about whatever issues you are going to put us around. And I mean, you have the good interest, but the implementation and the effort put in to make them work is still lukewarm. So how can we improve that? That has been our concern all along, and it still is. And given what you have shared, I don't think it will be handled.
Right. Thank you, Miriam. I am also really quite bothered by how, okay, well, we appreciate the brief, but I wish there was more info in regards to especially what you're offering. Yeah, you said these are your plans for the year from now till 2025, and also the policy. I don't know what to mobilize the diaspora, transfer special knowledge, skills, blah, blah, to Uganda for accelerated development. 2, promote participation of the diaspora in development of Uganda's systems and processes of good governance. 3, promote and protect the interests of Ugandan nationals in the diaspora in line with the best international practice. 4, ensure timely and adequate availability of financial, human, and logistical resources of the department's approved work plans. I wish you could, break down that, and 4, while you're doing ABC. So that is why we're as enough to want something more. Francis.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. I don't know whether everyone can hear me because I'm driving.
Yes, we can hear
you. Yes, we can hear you. Just be safe on the road.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Marshall, for the brief presentation, but I'll begin with being realistic to you and honest. I still remember last time we had a conversation with the team that you came with, and we thought we are talking serious business. But now you come, we thought we are going to have a candid conversation. You are just talking as if you are talking to primary kids. I'm sorry to say so, because these are serious conversations that we need to push, and we see something coming out. It is so unfortunate that even when you want to make a policy, you still need somebody to sponsor it. That is a shame. And I have always said there is nothing for us without us. I'm not saying you did not consult the people in the diaspora. You must have. But the policy itself, before you send it to Parliament or wherever for approval, you would first give it to us. We also read through and make a significant contribution, or we critique it so that you know this can work, this may not work. That's why you find in most cases you have good intentions as government, but because you don't involve stakeholders, everything collapses at the initial stage. I'm sorry to say so. I just see your policy and what you are trying to do. I'm sorry to tell you the truth, because I have not yet read through, but you are smartly dressed, going nowhere. Having said that, there are fundamental issues that we need to talk about. Because when you say you want to attract Ugandans to come and invest, you have to first know what type of Ugandans you have outside. But like the way how you are coming to talk to us is the way how people normally say, people who are outside Bakadama, you think we are lay people. We are not. We are not. There are fundamentals that we have to discuss. When we are here, we can also, some of us who have other people whom we can team up with, we come and invest as a group. But there is no way I'm going to convince a friend of mine to come and team with me to invest in Uganda, let's say on value addition, maybe on maize or on peanuts, and we process different things, or corn and stuff like that. Where there is gross human abuse, there is corruption, like as how you are saying you can go and lobby for us, they give us jobs. Already I sense corruption. That okay, no, let the process be clear, people can apply. Or those who want jobs there. Not somebody. Once you put in lobbying, for me to go and lobby my government, that look here, I have expertise in this, I'm coming to help. No, advertise, I will come and. So basically I'm just saying the political situation back home is a menace to threaten people who may be potential investors. The level of corruption is so high. You have, even when we want to invest, some of the investments will go on land. See how land is mismanaged. And then, like as I have said, these policies, you like it or not, at the initial stage, you have to involve. Like now, you should have sent that draft. You should have sent even your presentation before. We read through, we analyze it, and then we have a candid conversation. Than this one where you are coming, you are not sure, you are telling us of an app. And an app is just a tool. But if you don't have what the app is going to do, definitely nothing will work out. So I need you to go and tell your other colleagues that when we are engaging the diaspora, these are also well-informed people. I always visit your website, by the way, from time to time. I can, even right now, I can hit you hard using your very website, for example. And you just see, but I don't want to bring these conversations like here, otherwise you look like you are smartly dressed, doing nothing completely. But let's always engage at a level of knowing you are engaging people who are well informed, people who know always what is happening in Uganda on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. So I'm sure you're noting down, and so you're going to sit down with your team and come up with a comprehensive approach to them. But now that we are noticing that we have a challenge there, I want to come back to you, Michelle, and can you give us a small breakdown of a few things, at least that that the Uganda diaspora can look forward to, apart from the app, apart from the policy, which of course allows you to perform your duties to the best of your capacity, but also they have, Albert, Francis, and Miriam have highlighted one key issue: consulting the people in charge, the people that are affected, the people, the diaspora community. Have you done that, consultation? And do you know how important it is?
All right. So can I go one by one, please? Who's working on the policy? Albert. People who are working on the policy, it's a government policy, so it's an internal policy. We have to first work on it, and then we'll bring it forward to you once it's complete. It is not complete.
Oh, just a minute. So when the government policy is being worked on, it is an inside story. We don't have to know anything about it.
No, you will know about it. We are working on it as we speak. When we have the finished product, we bring it forward and then we discuss. We cannot go with you step by step holding your hand. As Francis has said, if you want to be treated like adults, we're going to treat you like adults. If you want us to hold your hand step by step, you're acting like the child you're saying you're not. Okay? Then number 2, the content and participation of the app. The content is what we are working on as well. That's why I've said we are meeting with MDAs. We are collecting the data. Participation of the app, of course, we would want the diaspora to come through. Now, while we collect the content, we have to bring for you what we have collected, and then the participation, you say, yes, we like this, add that. But as I had earlier stated, our policies now are energy, roads, agriculture, and railway. So thank you for that. We are going to go, I'll go back to my team and I'll tell them that people want to bring forward something. So if you also want to work together and say, okay, if you can list this down: energy, roads, agriculture, and what? And railway. If you want to add more, please add more. Let us discuss. That one and the participation of the app is also going to be for two, as Albert had said, technology is ever adapting. The app is not going to stay the same year after year, week after week. Now, Miriam, what are the contents of the policy plan? The contents of the policy plan, as I had said, are being worked on. They will come out when they are fully complete. We cannot, this is government information, cannot be giving it to everyone. What are we bringing? What we are bringing is going to be in the policy, which is coming out. Lack of embassy capacity. Thank you so much for bringing this up. I was actually talking to some of my colleagues and I said, we really have to improve on embassy capacity. I studied abroad for my university. And one thing I realized, I was in London. One thing I realized is the embassies, they don't have a friendly approach. So what we're also now trying to tell embassies is to make it a more welcoming place so that people in the diaspora can go and register. At least let us start that registration process. Let us have registration events at the embassy. Find out what the diaspora wants. Please, we are very willing and able to find out what you want. Tell us, we are here to work for you. It's our job to work for you. The diaspora department should be more empowered. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. We have been saying that, but as I said, we cannot go forward without a policy. Because as I was telling Lynn earlier, you try to set up a new program, they say, where is your policy? So we are going to be more empowered once the policy comes out. How are we going to know what the diaspora wants without communication? Very, very true. I am here. You can communicate with me. I can give you my email, and you can be sending me all the information that you want me to forward to the team. Now, Lynn said these plans are for now. This plan we've given you is for just 2022, not up to 2025. It's just for 2022. But we're going step by step. So the first step is policy. Second step is app. Then from then on, we shall keep moving like that. We can't do everything at once. Then promote participation. As I said, I am here. Please tell me what you feel and what you need to do. Ensure adequate work plans. Very true. We have to get up a work plan of which Ugandans want to work where and what opportunities we'll be having for them. That I will go back and research. Consulting the people in charge. The people in charge, yes, I'll consult with them. Now, Francis, giving you the policy to read is never going to happen. Never. We will have to give it to you after it's done, not while it's being done. If you do not feel involved, please come through and let us work together, and you can all be involved and work together. Yeah, I think that was it.
Right. Thank you, Marsh. Yes, Albert.
No, I wanted to respond quickly to Marsh, and thank you. I know, like you just said, you started in London. So when we come at you, I hope you take our constructive criticism in that vein, knowing that we are exposed here when we're talking. They call it in America here. They call it talking truth to power. I don't know what the equivalent of that is in Uganda, or what the consequences are to talking truth to power. But that's the spirit that we speak to you in. Obviously, you are an accomplished young man, and you are the future of Uganda, and we want a bright future for our motherland. On consultation, please don't make it this, that, or at least you should resist from making a blanket statement like, oh, that's sharing a policy that is in the works with you is never going to happen, because that's not a good way of bringing us to the table. It should happen, because if you do a policy on your own internally, take it to Parliament and it's passed, and then it becomes the law of the land, then why am I sitting here trying to tell you what am I doing? I would rather you involve me when you're working on your policy, informally or formally. If there's no enabling law to help you talk to me, or to enable you to talk to me, and we do it formally, then consult me informally. You can reach me on WhatsApp, on Facebook, or someone, or you can reach Kamuhanda on a private line. But you should have consultations. And to add on to that, you also have to figure out a way of learning your audience. We're sitting at least all three of us for today are sitting in the States, in the United States of America. Government policies here, they have what we call a registration period in the Federal Register, where policy is open for public comment. So that's the context we're speaking to you in. That's what we're used to. I've been here for over 25 years. That's what I know. So when a young man who is working on a policy that impacts me saying you're never going to see it until Parliament has approved it, I'm like, wow. Okay, so we're not attacking you, and we appreciate your efforts. I mean, honestly, you're sitting here with us. You could be in Kamocha at a pork joint somewhere doing other things fun that some of your young colleagues are doing, and you're not. You're here working on a Saturday. So we appreciate that. But again, don't be so defensive, because we're not attacking you. We would like, believe it or not, these conversations that we're having are having an impact out there. I was surprised recently. I saw a leader in the diaspora using my very words that we started this conversation with when we were talking about, say, us being the frontline ambassadors of Uganda. You all remember that conversation. So I was surprised that somehow has permeated into other leaders taking the term, which is true. We are the ambassadors of Uganda. Your skeleton staff of 12 people in Washington, D.C. doesn't have really access to all parts of America. They just have I'm not even sure they even understand America, because some of them come from Uganda, and to work at the embassies, their first time to even come to the States. They don't even know the roads. They don't even know where Capitol Hill is. They don't know what to do. So the 2 years they're learning the place, and then the third year they're being transferred to England. So I am glad that we're having these conversations, and I'm here to tell you we're not wasting our time. We are actually having an impact, small as it might be. Lynn's program here is having an impact, because I was shocked when I saw that that person was using those very words that we've been using here. And I hope people in the foreign affairs start using that word, saying, hey, you know what? Those are our ambassadors. We're not just going to look at Ambassador Katende or Ambassador so and so, and we're going to look at these people as the people who represent us. I'll stop there and then give Lynn a chance.
Right. Thank you very much, Albert, for bringing that up. I see we have Serunjogi, Ismael in attendance. Ismael, if you can hear us, if you have something to say, please do join in us. And we are looking at the programs and the plans that the Department of Diaspora Services of Foreign Affairs of Uganda has in store for us. And I'm sure at this particular moment, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to look at the fact that we have challenges, okay, as the community, as the diaspora community. Maybe we should point to those particular challenges so that the team can incorporate them as they go on with the drafting of the policy that we are not privy to. Okay, Serunjogi, your hand is up. Please unmute and let's hear from you. Great. How are you? And thank you for joining us.
Fine, thank you. And apologies for joining late.
It's all right. You're here.
I joined when I think it's March was going through his discussion, and I would like to begin maybe on a sad note that we the diaspora community lost one of my hobbies of Chivoli, Isaac, and listening to what much I came in about 10-15 minutes ago when he mentioned that he studied in London. And I remember one of my other friends, Awel Komuhangi, who was who studied, I think, in Toronto, Canada, and then went back to the Ugandan government. And listening to March, the way he's making sweeping statements, the way he was going through the list for me was an insult. Oh, this we shall handle. This we shall handle. I mean, you guys, what are you talking about? This, and I was for a person who studied in London. I mean, I wasn't a professor, but the difference between the education system should tell by the way you especially if you are in the office that you hold, there should be a difference. I've been able to pick up the Information Act of Uganda, and it says, because you are very specific that you will not share this document, you almost swore, but it says every citizen has a right to access. This is on judiciary.go.ug. And it says that every citizen has a right to access information and records in the possession of the state or any public body, except where the release of information is likely to prejudice the security or sovereignty of the state or interfere with the rights of privacy or any other person. And the information that, as people in the diaspora, we're asking for the act that you're working on, and just like in the 1995 when they're trying to make a constitution, assuming that constitution was made in Rakitura and delivered to be passed, that would have been, I think they had the capacity to do that. They would have sat in the bush where they were, maybe in Narufenya or wherever, and came up with a constitution. But there's a whole body that collected information for people to feed into the bigger, because the act or the law is not for you. Today you are in the Foreign Affairs Office, tomorrow you're not there. Today we are alive, tomorrow we are not. So I think those are some of the things why some of these things happen. And I also, having said all that about my young friend like myself, I feel that they are compromised when you come and study from abroad and you go back to Uganda, you need to make a living. So it becomes really hard, just like my friend Awel. But I'd like my question to March maybe would be, is there a way we could, you have spoken a lot of things. I think there were about 10 questions that you had. Do you have timelines for some of these things? Like you said, the app, we'll make the app, we'll make the law. Are there specific timelines that you have as foreign affairs for these that we can look out for? Thank you, Lynn, and I'll just listen in and come in, maybe.
Thank you very much, Ismael, for that. Unfortunately, I don't know if he's still here with us. Okay, so
could I please reply one by one again? All right, Albert, I didn't say that the policy is never going to be seen until it goes to Parliament. I said we are working on the first draft of the policy. That is when you'll see it. We haven't yet finished the first draft. We are still working on that. So as soon as as you said, the USA does give its policies out to the public to see, but they give you something that is solid. We want to give you something solid, and then we make the changes accordingly. But what is the sense? Maybe I misunderstood you. The way it was being said is like, I write a sentence, then I said for you to read. I write a sentence, I said for you to read. No, we are working on the first draft. So please, can we work on the first draft? And I will be very willing to give it to you. Okay? But let the first draft be solid. Let it be fully comprehensible. Let it have all the steps you want. So there are no misunderstandings. Then changes can be. Then Francis, that's the same thing goes with the first draft. And then, as you said, the timeline for the policy, we had said we wanted everything to be done by September, October this year, but I can get for you a monthly breakdown of the timeline on our next meeting, which I could share with Lynn via email or WhatsApp, and then she can send it forward to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as earlier stated, yes, we work for you. That's very true, we work for you. That's why we're here as a government. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Marsh. Francis Kamuhanda is writing in the chat room. Please make use of the chat room if you can. He says, last time we discussed with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we listed challenges, etc. We can't keep going in circles. He goes on to say, Marsh, since 2007, 15 years ago, you are drafting a policy and developing an app. How long will it take for next steps? You are aware we have no member of parliament for diaspora. We are our own representatives. Marsh, I don't know if you have any answer for that, but also in that, I was also wondering, in that policy, have you considered a ministry for, diaspora, for the diaspora community? Because I think it is important. With all the things going on, well, you could let us know what a few of those things you might be thinking about. Okay. You're noting. Oh, right. Cool.
Yes, I know it has been since 2007, and that is a terrible mistake. I'm a very honest person. That was a terrible mistake. Of course, I wasn't in the ministry by then. In 2007, I was 18. So I was still just going to university. So that I don't know, and I'm afraid I cannot answer. That is the problem of former leaders who maybe did their job. But as we are doing, as I'm saying, we are now a young team at the diaspora, and we are working our best. But an MP for diaspora would not work because we have a minister for foreign affairs, and diaspora is under foreign affairs. We understand that you feel unseen. I'm really getting that from all these meetings I've been having, which I will take back to. Yes, I have had very, very well. So I will take back that to that team. And also I will tell you something, even in the ministry, our department has not been seen as serious simply because of this policy. That's why we are pushing forward with this policy. So once we have the first draft of the policy, you people will be able to read it, and I'll even work hard so that they can put it on the website so it's easily accessible to all members of the diaspora. I'll make sure I do that. Yes. Thank you.
All right then. Thank you very much. Francis says he's dropping off for the next appointment. But before you go, Francis, maybe you can say something if you have.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. I think, again, I would say that, Marsh, for you to say that you have just come into the ministry, you are new, and so you don't know about your predecessors, that is the problem that we normally have in developing countries or in Uganda in particular. But when you come, you just know you have inherited all problems you have inherited. We are talking to you now, not to the people who had been in office before. That one I need you to acknowledge and then say, okay, how do I clean up the system and how do we go forward? That is one. Two, you must accept that these issues that we are raising are very fundamental and pertinent. That even now, if we have a representative of the diaspora, let's say in your office, who can even work virtually, for example, they have virtual offices. Since COVID came, some of us, wherever we are working from our homes. So all these are opportunities that can be exploited, and you get first-hand information. Then when you tell me the policy you'll first make it, no, when I was in Uganda, we used to make some policies. There is initial consultation where you go to people even when people are drafting, when something is under draft and so on. So let's learn how to so you want it to first be made. You go to parliament, you approve. Then when I go on the website, I look at it, maybe there is something that I don't agree with. Then you again look for money, you go back that we are reviewing now a policy which has not even stood for a year or two. Those are the processes we are trying to say, let's avoid this, and then we do something once and for all. And then, in your opening remarks, you kept telling us that you are there to help us. No, you are not helping anybody. You are offering a service. And so some of those statements, they should, maybe you copy them from 7, because the president was also saying he's not working for anybody, he's working for himself and his children. And now it is permeating towards even the public servants. You just know you are our servant. So we have the task to ask you whatever we want, and you have to answer. Like, I'm glad you have said where you don't have the answer, you'll go back and consult. But what I'm saying, some of these things, that's what we are requesting for, that even before you come to present to us, first send us the notes, your talking points, so that we are ready for you if you want to have an enriched conversation. Because as like Bakasara said, and the other speaker, we are trying to help you as we help ourselves too. As a country, how do we move forward? Otherwise, if we are disgusted with Uganda or with our motherland, we would not be engaging with you. So I want you to take that in good faith and know that when you are coming to engage with us, you are coming to seek, let's say, our opinion, which will be incorporated. But at how we want to be engaged is give us the talking points after, and then we just know there is this, I think this needs to be incorporated, this, and we have a healthy conversation than coming and you begin bragging around. Even when we go to the desk that was established long ago, nothing is done, and so on. Then you lose public trust. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francis. I think now we can, let us see, are there any particular issues? And I want to begin with you, Albert. Actually, no, Miriam hasn't spoken since the last time. Miriam, we have challenges as the diaspora community. Yes, we have highlighted some of them, but now Marsh is here. He's our messenger. to that department while they draft that policy? What do we want to see included in that policy so that the diaspora community issues are addressed?
First of all, Lynn, I think what Albert said is very profound. The approach the government gives the diaspora community is that lukewarm. Even Marshall admitted that his diaspora is not seen, his diaspora desk is not seen in the whole ministry. We first need to understand the diaspora community we are talking about today. It's not only about yapping about the figures in the budget, but you don't know who is making the money, how that money is made, how that community is affected. The way the government treats the diaspora community is the way they are responding to it. No budget, no staffing, no nothing. It's like milking a cow you don't want to feed. So the whole, according to what I see, even given the lukewarm approach Marshall is giving us, I think that's what he's facing also. It's like the government doesn't pay attention to the diaspora community. They pay attention when it comes to receipts and the balance sheet, but they don't pay attention to who they are and how best they can utilize that community for development, how they can integrate the bigger global economy into the national economy using the already ambassadors who are there, the diaspora community to connect. Imagine if all of us, say we are 2 million, Miriam gets an investment partner in tourism. Albert gets one in oil industry. Francis gets another one. You don't even need to labor that much. Just put channels. Just put the ways these things can be. I need to know that if I say I have an investor interested in tourism, which desk do I call at the embassy? Which desk do I call at the National Investment Authority? Because what even Marshall is explaining, that we want to give you jobs, these are the jobs even other departments are already doing. The Uganda National Investment Authority, if you got their website, all those things are listed and they are clear. Actually, you are trying to duplicate instead of concentrating on the issues which really matter. The way I understand the Ministry of Affairs should be like that vehicle, not the personnel to carry the load, but that vehicle to facilitate other ministries to access the diaspora community. You should be the one to connect the Ministry of Agriculture to the diaspora community. You should be the one to connect the local government to the diaspora community. For instance, if you connect, say, the Wakiso district to Ohio, a certain city in Ohio, and we make a collaboration. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs should be a facilitator, not the implementer. You shouldn't be the one to lobby for the jobs. That's not your job. That's for other departments, and it shouldn't be taking your time. Instead, concentrating on building the bridges where other people should go through, where other departments can utilize and access the diaspora community. You should have a database. You should have ways to reach out to the people. You should have the needs of the diaspora. For instance, today, Uganda, the Labor and Gender Ministry is exporting the laborers to the Middle East. So the Ministry of Foreign Affairs shouldn't be the one to lobby for those jobs. It can lobby, yes, but it should be the facilitator of those channels. You should make sure that the embassy there is ready to handle that, but the details should be handled by the Ministry of Gender. So those are the things, like, don't labor into things which don't matter, and then you leave the whole thing which matters, which is building the channels, connecting the diaspora community to the national economy. Connect the, for instance, today there is a lot of demand of truck drivers in UK. So the Ugandan embassy in UK should work with the gender and the labor or youth industry or whatever to facilitate that and make sure, see the requirements. How can you facilitate some Ugandans to go and work in UK? and which papers do they need. Put out that information, put the channels, put ways into how you can protect them. We don't want another set of Ugandans going abroad and they are cut for human spares, like what is happening in the Middle East. So those are the things, like, that's what we want to see. What are you doing? What are you thinking? It's like even the whole mindset, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Desk, the whole mindset is so far away from what is actually required on ground.
Okay, thank you very much, Miriam. That's very passionate about what we desire to see. Albert or Serunjogi, if we are now looking at, we want to give Michelle a message to take while they draft that policy, while they come up with online services, a one-stop application that the diaspora community can use. What do they have to incorporate that we have been grappling with as a community?
Okay. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you for that passionate message, Miriam. It's a message that we can keep, and we should keep singing and singing. And I'm going to cut it with a short story. So maybe because we're saying these things are, oh, maybe we've now become crybabies, or they're seeking attention, they don't get much attention. No, we're not crybabies. We're not seeking attention. So let me put forward an example that crystallizes what Miriam is talking about. Some years ago, not so many, a few years ago, His Excellency the President of Uganda was at the UN. And of course, when he's in country, like he was visiting the US, everything and all staff and everything goes to where the president is. That's where the power is. So our embassy here in Washington, it's not in New York, Washington, DC here, had also kind of been working on the president's trip in New York. But at around the same time, there was a ministerial AGOA conference in town. And two members of parliament, including my good friend and neighbor, Honorable Alex Ruhunda from Fort Portal, had flown in for that ministerial meeting. They arrived, Alex called me. I said, Albert, I'm in town. I went and picked him up. We reached his hotel. The check-in time, I think, was 2 o'clock, and he had arrived around 11. So I was like, well, you can come to my house and take a shower and then prepare. He came with his, I think it was Honorable Komo. I can't remember the other member of parliament. They got to my house, showered, and left. And then when they were leaving, I was like, okay. Now, I said, oh, but our meeting was 1:30. Can we go to the meeting? I was like, where? Where's your meeting? Alex gives me the piece of paper, and it had an address. And that address was the building where I work. So I said, yep, you're in luck. I took the two members of parliament, cleared them through security, they entered the building, and the gentleman at the door said, you are not on the list. I'm not letting you in here. So I walked to the gentleman and I explained to the gentleman, you know what? These people have traveled. They've just showered in my house. They've come this way. I mean, this long. Can you just let them in, and at least they could be observers or something? And the man said, no, they're not registered. The embassy was supposed to register the attendees. And I think the minister was supposed to be the one attending, but they had not even registered the minister. So Uganda was not represented. And these two gentlemen were there standing in front of me. And the guy looked at me and said, you know what? I'll do it to you as a favor. I'll let them in. Uganda got representation at that table that afternoon. Then in the evening, I drove Alex and his colleague to go brief minister. I think it was Minister Kyambadde, I believe so, and the deputy minister and the delegation from Uganda. When Alex said I was in the meeting, everybody was shocked. They said, how did you get in? Apparently, they had refused to give Amelia Chambade an invitation because the US was playing its, whatever it was, politics or whatever it is, they had refused to give Uganda a seat. But somehow Uganda was represented because they had a son of the soil in the building. Why am I telling you that? Because that's what we're talking about. But the kicker is when the minister was told that I facilitated for Uganda to be represented at the conference, she kicked me out of the room. At that point, I became an American agent. She said, well, they were going to sit. She didn't care before. I was sitting at the table. I was seated in the meeting. But at that time, when she learned that I was an American and I worked for the American government, she asked me to leave. That's the attitude that our friends have towards us. And it starts at the higher levels. That's how they see us. The political class sees us as a threat. They see us, oh, we work for the Americans, the American government, or they don't see us as their brothers and sisters. And that permeates in how they view us. So I wanted to share that, to give you an idea of what Miriam is talking about. Imagine a few hours earlier, I had led a delegation that had been blocked into a high-level meeting. But in the evening, I was no longer Ugandan. I had no attachments to Ugandan. I was in America. So they did not want me in the meeting. And I wasn't really offended because I was just there as a Ugandan. At that point, I thought, well, I'm a Ugandan. Everyone is in the meeting, ministers. I'm just sitting there. But they kicked me out. So that's the attitude. It's us versus them. So if that's the environment in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it's going to be hard to deliver services that really, really benefit us and Uganda. But we do have a lot to offer. I'm telling you, we are the ambassadors of Uganda. We have reach, we have clout, we have access. We have a lot to offer. Uganda can utilize us. It's not just in the sectors that Mr. Kategaya mentioned. There are other sectors. There's business, there's finance, there's policy, politics. That's also important. I mean, all those, right now, people are at war fighting. They have scientists, they have oil, they have everything else. But I think they lacked political scientists. They lacked economists, the people who actually would read the situation and say, okay, maybe we shouldn't go there, we should go here. So what can we do? I mean, get back to your question. What can Mr. Kategaya take from these conversations and actually as action items? I will just repeat the things that we've been talking about since these conversations began. Find community leaders and incorporate them in your embassies. The US, I'm really excited that our ambassador coming in was a part of this community for many, many years. I was reading her bio in one of the dailies in last week. She lived in this place for decades. I hope when she gets here, kind of builds on those relationships and her knowledge of the workings of this place to really reinvigorate this community and give that embassy direction to actually serve the Ugandan diaspora in North America. The other places, I don't know. But for the other places, Mr. Kategaya, start by proposing that. Put that in your policy. Incorporate community leaders into the embassies. So you have somebody in there who have lived in that community for 10, 15 years and knows the stakeholders. And do this without any political considerations. Okay, because I can tell you, having been a leader in the Ugandan North American community for a while, I can tell you some of the best leaders in this group are not NRM leaning. They're not. But they're some of the best organizers. They're some of the best community leaders that I know of. So if you're coming here to look for NRM, you might be shot, or you might be giving us the likes of, I don't want to say his name, man might think I have a personal grudge on him. You might be giving us the likes of that person they elected as the ambassador in the diaspora in North America. But you have other leaders, and most of them don't subscribe to the NRM. So come look for those community leaders. You don't want their politics, you want their expertise, you want their connections, you want their leadership abilities. What else? A diaspora bond. Consider that as an investment vehicle. When the money goes into that bond, the people on the ground in Uganda, you guys can invest it in any sector that you are interested in. But have a vehicle that we can pull in, a bond that is backed by the government of Uganda. Just diaspora, you can split it. Have one for North America, have one for United Arab Emirates. Let's work on a policy for it. Let's work on the legal aspects of it. I know when I put in my $50,000, this is the return. This is when the thing matures. And if I want to leave my money in, I leave it in. If I want to bring it out, take it out. And you guys can go invest the money whatever you want. Okay. I don't want to sit here and be pulled and say, oh, now do you want to invest in the oil sector? No, I don't. I could care less. But I would rather have that and say, you know what, this bond is going to mature. Let's say my son will be going into college. I'll pull it out, and it's backed by the government of Uganda. We should have that foresight. We should have that foresight, and it's also a sign of our confidence. The country should be confident to say, hey, we're going to be here for 20 years. So do a 20-year bond, a 15-year bond. So then I can sit and say, you know what, my 2-year-old will be going to college. So instead of putting money in a college fund in the US, I'll put it in that. The last part, of course, is the politics of Uganda. Give us a good story to sell as the ambassadors of Uganda. I cannot sell the Kakwenza story. I cannot. Is it necessary? Is it really necessary to whip a guy for writing nonsense? Who cares? Now, did it stop anything? No, it did not. What did it do? It cost Uganda, Uganda's image. It cost Uganda its good image abroad. How many tourists stayed away? How many investors stayed away of that, or because of that? We will never know. But why do those stories keep coming up? I'm not pro lawlessness. I'm not saying, oh, go do whatever you want and there are no consequences. No. But is that the way to handle the situation? We just pick the guy up, take him to court. If he loses the case, he goes to jail. Does he have to be beaten to a pulse? And then now the stories on CNN, it's everywhere. Who wants to invest in Uganda with that kind of stuff? You guys, and again, the likes of Kategaya, he's just a civil servant like myself, they have no input in all this. But if you keep saying this to your superiors, maybe they will start thinking twice about some of these things. So those are some of the 3 things that I can think of. I don't know how you incorporate them in the policy you're writing, but you're a young man. You are the future of this country, and I really, really appreciate, like I said, I know Uganda very well. You could be somewhere enjoying yourself, and you're here on this screen talking to us. But I want to encourage you that your conversations and our conversations are not in vain, and they actually have real life consequences, and they're making an impact. And I hope they continue to. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Albert. Ismael, you had your hand up earlier. Please go on.
Thank you very much, Lynn, and Albert, for that very interesting story. I would say 2 things. One, and also for Lynn and Miriam for putting this conversation together. We may be speaking from North America, from different states, but we are speaking for millions of Ugandans in the diaspora, and the diaspora does not mean the United States. There are millions of people in China. There are millions of Ugandans that are in the UAE. hundreds of thousands that are in Australia, Canada, and other places. So this conversation is not for only us as individuals who are on here. I would like to give maybe my brother Marsh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name. Is it Marsh? Is that how it's pronounced?
It's called Michelle.
Michelle. That's a French name, right?
Portuguese.
Portuguese. Ah, okay.
But it has been so molested. I just said, call me Marsh.
That's a good way of putting it. So, Marsh, in the US, for example, they're about at the beginning of every year, there are different communities come up with events. So there are very many events that are going to happen this year. We have UNA causes, NUP, and all these other things. The last time I went to the one that I think was in Chicago, it had a lot of NRM people, Nankabirwa, and all these, and they were just flaunting in the lobby. I think as a ministry, I don't know if Albert said this before, you could make it as one of your I don't know, plans to attend some of these things and try to pick to get information that you want from members of the community, because it's very these events have all people in one place at the same time, and you may not really be able to get them at that particular time or in any other event apart from then. So if you could invest just like banks do, just like other investors do, probably the ministry should think about sending somebody, maybe from the embassies. I mean, I have very big reservations about the embassy in the US, but probably the ministry in Uganda should send somebody to attend some of these events. And there are events, of course, that go on in London, where you in the UK as well. So probably that some of those things need to be thought about. And then another thing that I would think that would be important is to send out a survey before. Okay, granted, you will not send us the draft, but can you please send out a survey of what you guys are going to be doing, and get a pulse check, a little bit of pulse check before you even treat something. You must know basic vitals. So if you could come up with 10, 5, 20 questions, basic, just to do a little bit of survey. And I had you talking about data. So that data should be coming from such surveys, and those surveys should be very, very specific and targeted to people who are living in the diaspora. I don't know if you're already doing this. I don't know where your data is coming from, but and they could be periodic. You could say we'll make one survey quarterly or monthly, and then we just such that when you're speaking from a point of information. And then the last one, I think, the last time I was at least on this call, we had the Commissioner of Immigration, and I was amused that even the website, and on that call we had the IT guru for the immigration, but the website had not been updated for over a year, and there were excuses that the commissioner gave. I think it was Brigadier something, I don't remember his name, but I understand as a person that much may not really have much that's much, may not have much. He may not really have a lot. He may not be able to dictate what would happen. I mean, on a call with the commissioner, who is a brigadier, and the best IT gurus of the immigration, and the website was not updated for months. It had the same picture, it had the same. So for much, there should be some basic deliverables that you could say. You may not be able to do the bigger things. Probably you will not even be able to talk to the police about the torture, but some of the things that you can do, at least you do them very, very well. And those that you cannot do, and I think, just like Albert has said, a survey is a basic thing. You don't need to talk to State House to do a survey, to send it out. Probably you do, I don't know. And attending these conferences, those are things that are workable and deliverables that you could do, and then leave those that you cannot, that are out of your control, that need people to sign and sign and sign. But otherwise, we're going to come back in circles, and it's very frustrating. Much the energy that we are talking, we don't really hate you when we speak the way we speak, but we are speaking because we are, unfortunately or fortunately, we live. I mean, if I wanted to know, if I told you my name and you needed to go about me, you can even know where I work and how much I earn. Information should be information. So we are not hating you, but we want the best for our country. So that's my contribution for now. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you very much, Ismael. So we're looking at what a package, a take-home package for Marsh when he goes back to work on Monday, and probably when they start working on that policy. What do we need addressed? What can we include? I think so far, for what you have talked about, I beg your pardon, Ismael, Albert, and Miriam. Miriam, I don't know if there's anything else you want us to add on this. You think you want to add on the package we can have included in the policy? We mentioned the application here, joking. You're saying, why don't we have something up? And then, interestingly, it is coming up. So we would want, what do we want included in the app? What are we looking for? What is the Diaspora Services Department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs willing to offer that we should tap into as the diaspora community?
I think we need more than an app. Like Ismael talked about, simple deliverables. Let there be someone to pick the phone at the embassy. Let there be basic information on the website. Let the Ministry of Foreign Affairs staff, even at the embassies, let them take time to know what people on the ground want, and just put the basics. Put the basics on. I mean, if you are a cafe selling coffee, at least let me find there some coffee. Are the embassies operational? Those things don't even need a lot of stuff like today. I mean, we have internet and we can do a lot with a few people, but it's so disappointing. You never get even the small things done. And how are we going to even achieve the bigger stuff if we can't do the small requirements that anybody can do, even at a minimum cost that we can afford? Secondly, it's I can't re-emphasize what Albert and Isma said. I think they really explained in detail, and if Marshall really is listening and he wants to do something and he wants to make an impact, I think he has a lot of information and feedback to give to his officers. I know there is bureaucracy in the government, but I'm sure there are a few people, even your boss or whoever, that at one time in a meeting you can raise these issues. You don't have even to raise them in the policy, but you can raise them. And most of the things you see, the challenge in Uganda, like Albert said, is the politics, and Ismael hinted on it. Everything you have to do, you have to talk to the president, you have to, we all know how things are done there. And that's the biggest problem. If you're not an RM, then you are nothing. Then, let's work like we are in 21st century. We are not going to be an RM or any other party that is going to come to power in the next so many years. But we are Ugandans, and that's the basic. And that's what should be driving all of us. So these things of parties, especially when you're living in diaspora, they don't mean nothing. Investing in Uganda, whether you are DP or UPC, it doesn't mean a thing. If your investment is going to bring value, the party doesn't matter. The politics don't matter. Nobody wants to even be interested on whatever, as long as the government is functioning. If there is a democracy, politics should be changing even every 5 years. This thing of having like one thing going on is an anomaly often to talk about it, but let's not go into that. But I can't re-emphasize also the point of what image are we sending abroad about Uganda? You are not going to get investment. You are not going to, these things are priceless. Having a one image of a Kakwenza beaten and thrown around like an inhuman person in this day and age is enough to damage the image of Uganda for investment for a long time. And you can't just delete that. It's there. How are you going to clean up that? Why did they create that in the first case? So the Ugandans at home, the people in power should be aware of the world we are living in today. It's no longer that Stone Age thing where you can do things and throw them behind the kitchen. Everything now is on the spotlight. So if your embassy is not working, if your ministry is not functioning, everybody now knows that you are not functioning because they are going to make a phone call and nobody is speaking, and they are going to tell every other person. So let's just try to update ourselves and try to catch up with the times if we want to make things run. For instance, I was wondering why the NSSF doesn't tap into diaspora community for savings. The whole giant is there, and it's a challenge that the Ugandan pension system, the savings, social savings system is not liberalized, so we have to depend on one institution, but it doesn't tap into diaspora community. These are people who are working and saving, and they have a lot of savings. So instead of keeping them in the bank accounts in America where they're benefiting American economy, why don't you attract them and they invest it back home through NSSF or another saving vehicles, like what Albert said, the diaspora bond. So for us, Mr. Marshall, we might not be looking for jobs as you put them. I'm sure there are some, especially graduates, who would be looking for jobs. But some of us already have jobs and we are not job seeking, but we have money to invest back home and we need vehicles. We don't have time to even monitor things every other day, but we need vehicles. We need the bottlenecks removed. For instance, if I don't hold the Ugandan passport, doesn't mean I'm not Ugandan. That also has to sink in. If I'm not NRM, doesn't mean I can't invest in Ugandan government. You know, stuff like that. There are things we need to update our mind about and be open-minded, be embracing and open to new ideas, new opportunities, and that's how we can move forward.
Great. Marsh, I don't know at this point if you have anything you want to share in regards to so far what has been said.
First of all, I want to thank you all for all your information. I've written it down in detail. I'll take it back and talk to my people. There are a lot of very good factors you've talked about. I can list some. Let's see, starting with Miriam, milking a cow that you don't want to feed. Very true. You're not we don't take care of you as well as we should. Now, I didn't know about this officer calling for information at the embassy. because I'm being posted this year. I haven't yet gone for posting, but I'd heard about it. So I'll do some research and I'll see what we can do to improve on that. And then Albert said, yes, you are the representatives of Uganda, because as a Ugandan who lived abroad, everyone who meets you and you say, I'm from Uganda, they will know. Hey, so you're like this, you're like that. And they understand. Now, something about that story you told me about how they kicked out of the meeting. I know Francis said that I should take the problems of my elders, but quite frankly, even me, I've been doing some of this old leadership. What? There are things I can't even tell you because of my diplomatic policy. But now what we're practicing is soft diplomacy. We are trying to make it easier for the Ugandan to approach a diplomat. We are not these kings in castles in a faraway land that you can't talk to. So soft diplomacy, we are here to service you. Sorry, not help, service. Yes, finding local leaders, put in the ministry. Yes, I think you're talking about Robbie Kakonge. Yes, she's an excellent person. I met her. Community leaders into the embassy. Yes. Diaspora bonds. Yes, yes, yes. We are working with that with the Bank of Uganda. Those are all the meetings that I said we're going to start next week. Clear investment plans and policies. Yes, yes. Politics of Uganda. Now, as a diplomat, diplomacy does not deal with anything to do with politics. I am happy you brought that up. If you're NRM, if you're DPC, if you're whichever team, if you're new, as a diplomat, I'm supposed to represent you as a Ugandan. So we are working out, we're doing our best, but as there's a lot of red tape, to be honest. Me, I'm a very honest person. I don't know how to lie. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of political things, but I'm going to take all of this back. I'm actually going to write a report, and I hand it to my boss, and my boss is going to take it and see it to the higher ups, because I'm a lieutenant, I'm not a general. So that I'll inform the generals what you've told, and I'm happy we've had this discussion. Now, Ismael said, attending conferences, members of the diaspora. Yes, we actually have a budget to attend the conferences, but they have told us until we have a policy, we cannot come and see you. So that's why I'm trying to make the policy come faster. Yeah, because there are steps. There are steps. It's government. You know how government works, not like a personal business. So then send out a survey. I'll bring that up with my team. IT needs to be implemented. Amen. Because it's a modern world. We're a modern world. But this business of paperwork is like asking someone. If someone asks you a question, you say, go read an encyclopedia. No, there's Google. But some people have failed to move from encyclopedia to Google. But as a modern young man, I understand this. And I know you said you're speaking out of hate. Yes, I know you speak out of frustration, because even me as a foreign service officer, I get frustrated because what happens is you say something and people promise and then come through. I'm not promising you that I'm going to fulfill it, but I'm going to my level best. So thank you all for your points. I have quite a report to write on Monday, and I will work with Lynn, and I will send her I'll ask about the draft of the first draft of our policy, which you could read. And let's hope let's keep this going, and let's work together as a team, because I'm here to service you, not help you. I'm here to service you. I'm here at your service. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you very much, Marsh. So guys, as we wind up, we have 20 minutes to the top of the hour. As we wind up, how then do we move forward? Yes, we have seen this ABCD going on. We have also noticed that there are certain issues that ought to be in that policy, that ought to be captured in whatever the Diaspora Services Department or even the Ministry of Foreign Affairs itself should incorporate in whatever services they're offering the diaspora community, especially the ones that really have to do with human interest, have to do with investment, have to do with human rights, have to do with politics and the like. Then now, how do we move? Allow us to, Albert, we're winding up. You have the floor. We have 20 minutes. I urge that we take advantage of these minutes and give final remarks.
Thank you so much, Lynn, and thank you, my fellow panelists. this is always a pleasure to join you guys, and I don't mind getting up and having these conversations, especially now that I've told you that I'm beginning to see that they're having an impact. Thank you. The takeaways are really repeating what we've been saying. We appreciate Marsh and his team, and we know that when we're speaking from a good place, and we would like to continue having these conversations. We only ask that we don't just keep like as if we're talking to a rock and no one is listening. We expect a different kind of attitude from especially the young people in foreign affairs and on the diaspora desk to think about these things, because these things have consequences, and in a few years you will not be, well, the people in Ministry of Foreign Affairs will not be having an Albert Bakasara. They'll probably be trying to attract my son and my daughters, and if you have not established that I have become a good ambassador for Uganda to just my family members so they can keep this going, then you will have problems down the road. The remittances will dwindle because people who have migrated to European countries and the Americas, those numbers are slowing down as countries are adopting nationalistic policies, immigration laws are changing. You probably will not have a higher immigration to places like North America like you've had in the past years. So you're going to be depending on, Uganda is going to be depending on the children of the people who are, and grandchildren of the people who are already here. And it's through us that you'll establish that bond. So forget us being ambassadors for Uganda to other Americans. Just consider the fact that you need us to be ambassadors for Uganda to our own families, so we can keep at least that pipeline of remittances. If anything else, if for no other reason, just for that, to keep the same amount of money that we're sending to Uganda, to buttress the economy and the budget. So that's one. The other part, yes, I know that the politics are not something that Mr. Kategaya can do anything about, but you're not a spectator either, and you and your colleagues, the younger generation, the future of Uganda, the future of Africa, the future of the world, really. You're not spectators. You have a voice, and you can say something. You can say something. I mean, if it's not a good forum like this one, no, I don't expect you to come here and condemn the government for acts of that you don't like. But I expect you to be sitting with somebody who's on the opposite side and have those conversations off record. At least your voice is heard. You can't just say, oh, we don't mix politics and diplomacy. Yeah, you should. If you're not, you should, because you have a lot at stake as a young person, and you're young compared to some of us. This is your country. You would like to see things change. Yeah. On we talked about the diaspora bond. We talked about facilitating embassies. To that, I would also add on consider consulates, because I don't really know why a place like Boston does not have a Ugandan consulate. In Boston is the most Ugandans live in Boston. Everybody knows that. It's common sense. So why isn't there a Ugandan office in Boston? The embassy is here, 7 hours drive away, but there should be a small consulate in Boston. And these are not, everything is not about money. Everything is not really about money. Like Miriam said, some of us have jobs. We're not looking for jobs. We're not looking for state facilitation. Just find a good leader in Boston and say, you know what? You are the honorary consulate of Uganda to America in Boston. He will just have a small desk in his basement. You're not paying him rent. You're not even paying him anything. And maybe what most you can do is invite him in one of your retreats and he gets a plate of food and that's it. People are willing to do these kind of things. You just have to reach out to them. Chicago, do the same thing. Los Angeles, do the same thing. Instead of having this, oh, we have a global ambassador, his name is so and so, which is a political grandstanding position. So have a functional person come to Washington, D.C. here, pick somebody and to complement the embassy. I'm really, really excited that Ambassador Robbie Kakonge is coming. And like I said, she's somebody who knows our community. I'm really excited because here, at least here in the Washington, D.C. area, we were very lucky. We live close to the embassy. And Ambassador, the outgoing Ambassador Muluk Katende was really a welcoming person. Ambassador Katende was a professional, never cared about politics or anything. The embassy was open to community leaders. We organized events. I was one of the people that used to work in the embassy and say, oh, we're organizing an Independence Day celebration. And the embassy, how can I help Albert? And then say, oh, we have a budget, but you can buy us chicken. And the embassy would come and would honor them, would do all kinds of things. Well, in my job that I work, I won't tell you where, but he would call me and say, oh, we have this company. Can you give me any information about this company? And I'm happy to oblige. Those are the things that the collaborations that can really yield fruits. There's a huge organization in Uganda North American Association. It has turned political. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and the government of Uganda can tone it down. Instead of alienating all the other people who don't subscribe to the NRM, it can tone it down and make this an organization of Ugandans in North America, not NRM cadres and the people who, whatever it is that they get as a benefit, okay, self-seekers as they call them. But these are the things that we would like to see Minister of Foreign Affairs spearhead. Service, less politicization of the embassy and its mission, and involvement of community leaders, and maybe you can add on consulates. So I thank you so much, Lynn, again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Albert. To you, Miriam. Ismael, quickly, and we end with the Miriam on that note.
Thank you very much, Albert, for that. And much. Again, you have gone through the responses. You haven't given the timeline. I think what Lynn was really trying to hammer out is when we leave, what are the deliverables, what are timelines? And you just walked through what you wrote down. I mean, it wasn't really, it was a very shallow response from my end, but I mean, we'll take that. It's what we have as Ugandans, so it's something that we shall take. But speaking about the embassy, I was among the few Ugandans who went to demonstrate recently at the Ugandan embassy in Washington when Kakwenza was tortured. And when, first of all, the embassy has no parking. Albert, we had to look for parking almost many miles away.
Yes, it does not.
It's a very funny street. I don't know. I was told that building was bought by Amin very many years ago.
Very true.
We get to the embassy. I think the lights were not on outside. It was a shaming. It was really, really, and it's on a very lit. It's on one of those like two-way streets, very small streets. I'm trying to get the picture. So there's a lot that needs to be done in terms of helping Ugandans, and just by talking about parking, very few people were able to go to come to that particular demonstration just because of that. And unfortunately, it's not very easy to separate politics from service, even when you say you're a diplomat. I mean, the appointing body, the person who's supposed to appoint you it's public information that they belong to the NRM. So even when you're serving their interest in that capacity. But at least in every organization, some people are political and others are technical. And the ask is for you to, I think what Albert is again trying to hammer out by continuously saying that you're a young guy and I could be in the same bucket as you are, is try to be a little bit more technical than the alternative. As I conclude, I've been able in the last. Yes, I'm still here. I think, Lynn, your screen keeps freezing. In the last couple of weeks, everybody has talked about Kakwenza. I have sat in meetings with the State Department, with the people on our desk, and some people in Human Rights Watch. And the things that they ask you about, you cannot lie anymore about what's going on. It's very, 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 very hard to lie. What Albert says, to sell Uganda. So you are the Foreign Affairs Ministry or diplomat, and those things matter. So we might talk about the bonds. Albert, you might talk about the investment, but the image that the country has is also very, very, very important. And there's nothing that we can do about that. It's political. Probably it's government policy that's how they plan to go about that. But as much the ask is for it to be a little bit more technical than political. Even though you are appointing authority, and probably I mean in the countries, most of foreign servicemen are supposed to be working for countries that deploy them, and that is understandable. But we are hoping that you do serve everybody impartially. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Miriam, for the invite. I'll be excited for the next one.
Thank you very much, Ismael. We hope you'll join us next time as well. Thank you. Miriam, quickly, let's wind up and call it a day.
Nothing much to add on, really. I would like to call on Masha. Can you make a direct contact with where, I mean, it could be like a Twitter handle or whatever, where Ugandans in diaspora can access the diaspora page. Not all of us can go through the embassies, and going through the whole Ministry of Foreign Affairs is like trying to catch one fish in an ocean. So can you, I know you are bureaucratic, but I think this is nothing like Ismael was talking. There are small deliverables you can do. You were saying that your desk is undermined, it's not given the due attention it deserves, but some of these things you are the one to create yourself. I mean, the visibility, it's up to you to create it. Can you get us maybe a Twitter handle or whatever, where we can get the diaspora desk, where we can post inquiries, where we can access you guys and you can listen to us? Maybe you can also use it as a tool for surveying, and you get the pulse of what the diaspora community is faced with. For instance, today there is war in Ukraine. Do you know how people are affected? Not everybody can access to the embassy. There is human torture in United Arab Emirates, where the girls are being cut for spare parts, and human trafficking. Not everyone can access the embassy, but they can access a Twitter handle, they can access a Facebook page, and you take it on from there. So I try to reach your desk, I try to reach you. There is nothing, there is nowhere to contact Marshall. A whole big office on the diaspora desk. You are connecting with the outside world, but you are closed up in a closet somewhere in office in Kampala. Nobody can access you. How will you know even how to serve this community, which you can't access and it can't access you? So that's my humble request, and please do something about it. And Please let us know that what the government is doing about the human trafficking in UAE and the Middle East. That situation is very scary. There are so many Ugandan girls. We see so many people going over there every other day. The government says it is supporting the policy, but what type of policy is that where people are losing their lives and are shipped into slavery? There is something more you can do, and having open communication, having accessible forums where people can access you, where these young girls can contact you. That's one way of helping them and reaching out and even understanding what obstacles they are facing. Otherwise, we want to thank you, like Albert said, you could be somewhere else, but you are here engaging us into an official discussion on a weekend. And thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Even though we talk to you like we are really, we are not friendly, but we really appreciate you, Marshall. Thanks. And always come back to us.
Right, Marsh, I hope that soothes if there were any bruises that you sustained along the conversation. But thank you very much for making time. We appreciate the Diaspora Services Department of Foreign Affairs. We hope to engage with you a lot more. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Ismael. Thank you, Albert and Francis, who also left us a while ago, but he was part of this conversation. We hope to catch you next time. More conversations that are on more diaspora, Uganda diaspora issues, and we need to have these addressed. We need to have some harmony and make some progress and know that at least we have made our mark as citizens. All right, I wish you the very best. I will catch you next time, and bye-bye.